Jai Gurudev Brahmaraji, my computer is not connecting again. I can read if someone can share the PDF. I'm trying. Jai Gurudev, am I audible? Thank you. Let's chant Om 3 times. Let's close our eyes. Breathing in for Om. 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 Om Sahana Bhavatu Sahanau Bhunaktu Sahaviryam Karavavahai Tejasvinavaditamastu ma vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Vasudevasudam Devam Kamsachanooramardhanam Devaki Paramanandam Krishnam Vande Jagadgurum. Shri Krishnam Vande Jagadgurum. Jai Gurudev. So I read from this verse. This is the first verse of chapter 2. Or do you want me to? We've done chapter 1 yesterday, right? Om Shri Paramatmane Namaha. Shrimad Bhagavad Gita Atha Dvitiyodhyayaha Shankhya Yogaha. Sanjaya Uvacha Tam Tata Kripaya Vishtam Ashrupurnakulekshanam विषीदन्तम् इदं वाक्यम् उवाच मधुसूदनाः. Sanjaya said, to him, Sanjaya Uvacha said, Madhusudanaha, Madhusudana Krishna, Tata, in that manner, Kripaya Avishtam, overwhelmed by compassion, Ashrupurna Kulekshanam, whose eyes were filled with tears and showed distress. Vishidantam, one who is said, Tam, to him, Idam, this, Vakyam, sentence, Uvacha, spoke. Sanjaya said, to him who was sad and was thus overwhelmed by compassion, whose eyes were filled with tears and showed distress, Krishna spoke these words. The use of the third person in this verse reminds us that Sanjaya, the narrator of the Gita, was continuing his report to Dhritarashtra. The dialogue between Arjuna and Krishna, on the other hand, is always in the first person and second person. As the second chapter begins, Krishna, referred to as Madhusudana, had been listening very patiently to Arjuna because he knew the importance of listening. He let Arjuna talk. A therapist also listens a lot and nods his or her head at the appropriate time, speaking only enough to keep the person talking. People do not generally listen in this way. They begin advising right away and do not know how to listen. Krishna was a good listener. He had already listened to one complete chapter. Only when Arjuna laid down his bow arrows and sat back in the chariot did Krishna think it was time for him to respond. The word Madhu in the name Madhusudana refers to the ego. It means honey, something which is very dear to you, very sweet. The ahankara, the ego, is very dear to. I'll share the next PDF. Just a minute. The word Madhu in the name Madhusudana refers to the ego. It means honey, something very dear to you, very sweet. The ahankara, the ego, is very dear to us. The ahankara is very dear to us. Everyone wants to boost the ahankara. No one wants to give up. We have already seen that Madhusudana refers to Krishna as the destroyer of demons. The ego here can be seen as a demon. Therefore, the one whose grace destroys ahankara, the one knowing whom the ahankara is destroyed, is called Madhusudana. The one whose grace destroys ahankara, the one knowing whom the ahankara is destroyed, is called Madhusudana. Arjuna was described as being overwhelmed, overpowered by sympathy, compassion, and affection. His eyes were filled with tears because he had placed himself in a situation. There was more here and mere compassion. There was conflict too, because of his sense of duty. Arjuna was confused about having to destroy people who were his gurus and relatives. Because he was a man of discipline, Arjuna did not allow the tears to flow. There are three reasons why one's eyes can be filled with tears. Pepper can certainly do it. When you are ecstatic also, you may shed tears. When you are sad, the tears can well up. Any disease causing tears, any distress causing tears is usually due to any disease causing tears is usually due to an irritation and therefore covered under the first of the three. It's the irritation. Pepper is the irritation. Thus, the tear glands are stimulated by these kinds of situations. We know that Arjuna's tears were not due to ecstasy because he was described here as one who was sad. Arjuna, who was sad, whose eyes were glistening with tears, and whose heart was overwhelmed by compassion, was being addressed by Sri Bhagavan. The word Vakya usually means a sentence, a group of words. Here it refers to the whole subject matter of this particular section. What did the Lord say? Shri Bhagavan Uvacha Kutastva Kashmalam Idham Vishame Samupastitam Anarya Jushtam Aswagryam Akirti Karamarjuna. If anyone would like to read it properly, please do it. I haven't learned chapter 2 yet.
कुतस्त्वाकशमलमितं विषमे समुपस्थितम् अनार्यजुष्टमस्वर्ग्यम् अकीर्तिकरमर्जुन. You can read the translation.
Yeah. Please help me with the Sanskrit shlokas. I will read the transliteration. Yeah. Thank you, Dr. Savita. Shri Bhagavan, Lord, Uvacha said, Arjuna, O Arjuna, Vishame, in this crisis, idam, this, anarya jushtam, that which is not becoming of an upright man. Asvargyam, that which is not the means to gain heaven. Asvargyam, Asvargyam, that which is not the means to gain heaven. Akirtikaram, that which does not add to your good name. Kashmalam, despair. Kwa, upon you. Kuta, from where? Samupasthitam, has this come? Sri Bhagavan said, in such crisis, from where has this despair come upon you, O Arjuna? It is not at all becoming of an upright man and does not add to your good name, nor is it which leads one to heaven. Hey Arjuna, where did you pick up this despair, this sorrow? Asked Krishna. Arjuna had been talking in a way that did not sound like him at all, because it was totally unexpected. Krishna's response did not take the form of helpful advice. Krishna's response did not take the form of helpful advice. He did not let Arjuna know that he understood his position and the difficulties he was facing. Instead, he whipped him with his tongue. Where did this despair come from, Arjuna? It does not befit you at all, he said. To expand Krishna's words, you have missed your calling, Arjuna. You should have been a great warrior. Great actor, sorry. You should have been a great actor. How could you have hidden this from me all these years? I never expected that you could get into this kind of a state. We all knew you to be the bravest, the most courageous. And now I hear you talk. That betrays only sorrow at the thought of the imminent destruction that this war will bring. It may have been all right if you had mentioned all this before we came to the battlefield. We could have sat down and discussed it. But we cannot do that here. This is both the wrong time and the wrong place. Thus Krishna admonished Arjuna. This was when Arjuna should have been spending his time on the strategies of the war, as such as discussing with whom he should fight and how to proceed, etc. He was in the battlefield, standing in the midst of two armies, having requested Krishna to be his driver. Krishna had fulfilled his end of the bargain, but now it looked as though he had backed a horse that wouldn't even start. Not only are you sick, Arjuna, Krishna went on, but you have made me also sick. This is a time for brave deeds, not for this kind of lamenting. This is neither the time nor the place for such talk. Krishna therefore demanded to know where all these had come from. The verse contains 3 adjectives describing Arjuna's despair: Anarya, Jushta, Asvargya, and Akirtikara. Anarya Jushta derives its meaning from Arya, meaning an upright man, one who does the right thing at the appropriate time. Arjuna was reminded by Krishna that he had always been an Arya, a man who did not want to, did what was to be done.
Can you read
From
the
such,
definition of that Arya, please, again?
yeah, Arya. Okay, I'll read this whole thing. The verse contains 3 adjectives describing Arjuna's despair: Anarya Jushta, Aswargya, and Akirti Kara. Anarya Jushta derives its meaning from Arya, meaning a man, an upright man, one who does the right thing at the appropriate time. Arjuna was reminded by Krishna that he had always been an Arya, a man who did what was to be done. From such a man, despair is not expected. Therefore, this behavior is Anarya Jushta, not befitting or becoming an Arya. It is not that an Arya does not cry. He will cry when the occasion warrants it, but not in the battlefield where he has to act. Thus, Krishna told Arjuna that his despair, just wailing and lamentations here in the battlefield, were totally inappropriate, Anarya Jushta, not becoming at all. Krishna told him that what he was contemplating was Aswargya, not the way to heaven. Krishna had said that he had heard that people who destroy the family and thereby the dharma would live in hell, Naraka, an abode of pain, for a certain length of time. He therefore thought by doing his duty of fighting this war, he would go to Naraka, and that by doing it, by retreating, he would go to heaven, Swarga. He was therefore prepared to sacrifice everything and go to Swarga. Krishna was now telling him that if this were to be his thinking, it would not work. Not fighting would amount to a dereliction of duty because he was supposed to protect the law and order of the kingdom. Therefore, when he talked like this, it was Aswargya. Krishna also told him in a later verse that in addition to living with sorrow and privations due to not having a kingdom, this dereliction of duty would gnaw at his heart. Therefore, when he died, he would go only to Naraka and not to Swarga. To this, Arjuna might have said that he did not care about going to heaven. He did not even know if there was a heaven or a hell. Being concerned, he might have said that all he cared about was here and now. If this were Arjuna's thinking, Krishna tells him that it would prove to be a kirtikara, a disgrace even in this life. He says this sorrow leading to your running away from the battlefield is not going to rebound to your credit in the society. People are going to look at you and say, that is Arjuna, the one who ran away from the battlefield. If you go to Rishikesh and sit under a tree, the pilgrims will come to see you before going to the Ganges, saying, I want to see Arjuna, the fellow who ran away from the battlefield. Everyone will talk lightly of you. He might have said further, they will say, how great was Arjuna, how courageous he was. He was the master archer until the battle began. Nobody is going to give you any credit for such an action, Arjuna. Krishna may then have said, not only will they talk lightly of you, they will criticize and belittle your powers and prowess. Even ordinary people will talk ill of you. If you run away from the battlefield, Dharmaputra, your older brother, crestfallen, will follow you. Bhima, of course, will be angry, but being helpless, he too will go away. The whole army will fizzle out Everyone will leave, and some may even heave a sigh of relief that they have escaped. Everyone in Arjuna's ranks was afraid of Bhishma and Drona, and those in the opposite camp were afraid of Arjuna and Bhima. They would all be greatly relieved. The Pandavas, along with their entire army, would be gone, and Duryodhana would be handed the victory on a platter. He would be able to say, hands down, without a shot, I won. Krishna would therefore have admonished Arjuna even further. After you have gone to the forest, what will Duryodhana do? There will be parties everywhere. Duryodhana will let the entire army drink as much as it wants. Much more than a happy hour, it will be a happy day because the media is with him. Duryodhana will see to it that people think you are a coward. He will say that Arjuna asked Krishna to station his chariot in such a way that he could see Duryodhana's army, and seeing it, he ran away in fear. The headlines will read, Arjuna saw, shivered, and ran. There will even be photographs of you running away. Of course, Krishna may have continued. Duryodhana will present it in the worst possible light because Duryodhana cannot afford to have citizens looking up to Arjuna as a man of sacrifice. He will belittle you, Arjuna, even though he knows in his heart that your sacrifice was due only to compassion for the people, to save their families, and so on. He will not allow anyone to know that. He will cover it all up, saying that you ran away out of sheer fear for your precious life. Duryodhana will not let will not be the only one to present it this way. The ordinary soldiers who normally had nightmares about Arjuna, those who had been so afraid of him, those who were recruited only a few days ago, will also talk like this. Over drinks, they will boast to others that Krishna stopped Arjuna's chariot right in front of him. And when Arjuna's eyes fell upon him, all he did was to twist his mustache, giving him that special look, and Arjuna ran away in terror. Who will not tell such stories? Not only the great warriors, but also yesterday's recruits will talk like this. People will talk so ill of you, Arjuna, that it will be impossible for you to be happy in this world. This then was what Krishna meant by Akirtikara. Krishna would have also reminded Arjuna of the many wonderful titles that he had been lavished upon him over the years. He was a role model for every soldier, and now he was thinking of running away. This would be something like a Nobel laureate who, having been honored for the great work he had done for the downtrodden, the poor, and the ill of the society, is found to have committed a multiple murder for the sake of money. This news, of course, would blare out from the headlines of all the newspapers. The Nobel laureate of the world will then immediately surrender their scrolls because the Nobel Prize will no longer have any meaning. This was exactly what happened when a group of rock singers were knighted. One of the old knights surrendered his knighthood because he did not want to be in the same ranks as these young singers. Therefore, Arjuna, your name, fame, credibility, and everything will be destroyed, Krishna tells Arjuna. Kirtikara means that which adds to your name. Akirtikara is that which does not add to your credit at all. Your sorrow, Arjuna, is Akirtikara. I see it in this. I see in it the seed for all further reactions, says Krishna. Arjuna had already dropped his bow and arrows and sat down. Krishna therefore had to tell Arjuna that Krishna had to therefore tell Arjuna that his thinking was confused and that he should get up and do what is to be done. क्लैब्यं मासमघमः पार्था नैतात्वत्य
क्लैब्यं sorry क्लैब्यं मास्मगमः पार्थ नैतत्त्वय्युपपद्यते क्षुद्रं हृदय दौर्बल्यं त्यक्त्वोत्तिष्ठ परन्तप.
Thank you. Parantapa, O vanquisher of enemies, Partha, Arjuna, Klaibyam, unmanliness, Masama Ghamaha, do not yield to, Estha, this, Natvai Upadyate, does not befit you, Shudram, lowly, Hridaya Dhaurbalyam, weakness of heart, Tvaktva, giving up, Utishtate, please get up. O Partha, the vanquisher of enemies, do not yield to unmanliness. This does not befit you. Give up this lowly weakness of heart and get up. By calling Arjuna as Partha, the son of Pritha, Krishna was saying, this is definitely not the time for behaving like a child, a mama's boy. Krishna also said, use the word Klaibhya, meaning one who's neither male or female. In other words, the mental state of a eunuch. Men fight in a certain way. When women have to fight, they too fight in a way that is peculiar to them. Eunuchs, on the other hand, are a problem in any society because they are in between, neither man nor woman. Krishna advised Arjuna against that state. Do not proceed in this way. Do not let this emotion take over you. Klaibhyam masama gamaha. Masma gamaha. Arjuna was known to be a man of great discipline, perseverance, dexterity, and skill. Great discipline, perseverance, dexterity, and skill. And therefore his thinking like a Klaibya did not fit him at all. He was a soldier, and as Krishna said, it was his duty not to talk in this way. More than a soldier, he was a Kshatriya who was supposed to protect Dharma. By birth, he had this duty enjoined upon him. In addition, because he was a prince, he had to set an example. Nor was he an ordinary prince. He was the most exalted among princes. There was no one like him in this kingdom or elsewhere. He was the role model. Whatever he did, others would follow. You are the role model, Arjuna, a leader, not a sadhu. You are not a dropout, a hobo who can do as he likes. You are a responsible person, and what is more, a leader. You are one of the 5 crowned princes, and your older brother is supposed to rule. You are committed to doing what is to be done, and therefore no escape. To run away is not befitting for any soldier, and for you, Arjuna, It is definitely not fitting, says Krishna. Therefore, Krishna continued, giving up, being overcome by emotional weakness at this time, Arjuna, is a base and lowly. Please get up. Although he addressed him politely, Krishna ordered Arjuna up, in fact. In the first line of this verse, he called upon Partha, and then, to remind him who he was, he called him Parantapa, one who destroys the enemy. Don't run away, he said. Get up and face the battle. Krishna told Arjuna to do what had to be done. For Arjuna, it happened to be a battle. The whole Gita is going to point out that what is to be done must be done unless one is a sannyasi. Doing what is to be done can be yoga, requiring only a change of attitude on your part. Thus, this part of the Gita is a setup for the whole Dharma that is to be unfolded, the seed for what is to come later in the terms of Karma Yoga. I'll read this paragraph again. Krishna told Arjuna to do what had to be done. For Arjuna, it happened to be a battle. The whole Gita is going to point out that what is to be done must be done unless one is a sannyasi. Doing what is to be done can be yoga, requiring only a change of attitude on your part. Thus, this part of the Gita is a setup for the whole Dharma that is to be unfolded, the seed for what is to come later in terms of Karma Yoga. Being ordered to get up in this way, Arjuna felt that he was not understood, much less was his sympathy understood. He then began again to explain himself. So much respect did he have for Krishna. Krishna's admonitions were not meant as criticisms, but were only to show Arjuna that a particular type of thinking led to his sorrow, and that now he should change his thinking. Wow, so beautiful. It's all in the thinking. Krishna's admonitions were not meant as criticisms, but were only to show Arjuna that a particular type of thinking led to his sorrow, and that now he should change his thinking. Sympathy for others is a virtue, but what is to be done has to be done. The whole teaching is about another type of thinking, and Arjuna's thinking process was triggered off by Krishna's whipping words, as evidenced by this reply. Arjuna uvacha katham bhishmam aham shankye dronam cha madhusudhana ishubhih pratistyosyam pujarham
Ishubhi
harisodhana.
Yeah,
Sorry.
correct. No, you read correctly, Sumaji.
You please read it again.
Yeah. Arjuna uvacha katham bhishmamaham sankhye dronam cha madhusudana ishubhih pratiyotsyami pujarhavari.
Arjuna uvacha said, Arisudana, O destroyer of foes, that is Krishna. Madhusudana, O destroyer of the demon Madhu. aham, I, Shankye, in this battle, puja harva, those two who are worthy of worship, Bhishma and Drona, Ishubhi, with arrows, Katham, how, Pratishtostyasami, will fight against. Arjuna said, O destroyer of foes, O destroyer of dim and Madhu, O Krishna, how will I fight in this battle? How will I in this battle fight with arrows against Bhishma and Drona, who are worthy of my worship? Should we do Manana of the first three shlokas or no? Should I continue? Okay. Oh Arjuna, in this verse, Arjuna said what amounted to, you cannot understand what I am saying. You cannot appreciate where I am coming from. I have been placed in a very unenviable situation. I have to fight, and I'm quite accustomed to that. That I have to fight against people known to me is also not the real problem. I probably could manage to fight against my own people. But how can I fight against these two stalwarts, Bhishma and Drona, for whom I have such great reverence, for whom I owe everything? By addressing Krishna as Madhusudana and Arisudana, Arjuna was reminding Krishna that he had destroyed only demons and enemies, not his teachers and family. But those whom Arjuna was now supposed to destroy were his gurus, who deserved only worship from him. Instead of weapons, he should have brought flowers and been making garlands to offer them. Drona was the one from whom he had learnt the art of archery. He had grown up on Bhishma's lap and learned everything he knew from him. Bhishma was Arjuna's role model, his inspiration, idol, and hero. How can I use my arrows against these two men? He asked. Arjuna could only talk the way Krishna was talking. Arjuna could also talk the way Krishna was talking. He too could deliver a pep talk and tell others that they should behave like men and not what had to be done, and do what had to be done. They should behave like men and do what had to be done. But Bhishma and Drona were two people for whom he had the greatest respect, which they deserved, and Arjuna did not think he should destroy them. This thinking was what led him to ask Krishna to teach him what was right. So this thinking was what led him to ask Krishna. So the thinking. Bhishma and Drona were two people for whom he had greatest respect and which they deserved, and Arjuna did not think he could destroy them. This thinking was what led to him to ask Krishna to teach him what was right. The process of Arjuna's thinking is revealed in these verses very beautifully. The Gita still has not begun. Krishna's advice to get up was that of a friend. What Arjuna intended to do was not going to take him to heaven, much less add to his credit, and Krishna told him so. Everything else, Krishna said, was just to boost Arjuna's morale. Naturally, Arjuna was surprised that Krishna was saying things like, don't get into this eunuch-like state, and so on, since he was not accustomed to be spoken as a weakling. Given the words he used, Krishna seemed to be thinking of Arjuna as a coward, someone who had to be told to get up and do what had to be done. Arjuna had never heard such words in his lifetime and had certainly never expected to hear them from Krishna of all people. Therefore, he wanted to counter all of Bhagavan's statements. Therefore, he said, it is easy for you to tell me not to have this weakness. However, the problem for me is not fear. That is not why I want to leave the battlefield. I want to leave because of compassion and my concept of dharma, which holds that dharma can be protected only by protecting the dharmis. The only way I can win this war is by destroying all the only way I can win this war is by destroying all dharmis. Therefore, none of this makes any sense. Arjuna's problem was something like that of a student who wanted to protect his guru from a fly that was bothering him while he slept. He took a big stone and killed the fly, also killing his guru in the process. Here too, in the name of protecting Dharma, the very people who were supposed to live Dharma and hand it over to the next generation were all going to be destroyed. Arjuna was anguished and amazed that all the Pandavas would have armed themselves to fight such a war. Thus he asked, how could we have decided to do anything so insensible? In Arjuna's perception, this war would not protect Dharma. It was also very clear to him that the result of this battle would definitely not give him any happiness in this lifetime, nor did he see any kind of heaven for himself after that. Because to destroy the entire Kula Dharma was an act of sin. More than that, for the rest of his life, he would have to live with the thought that he had destroyed all these people. Therefore, there would be neither drishtafala nor adrishtafala in such an action. Since this was Arjuna's view, he did not understand how Krishna could say that he was frightened. He went on to explain that the people standing there were not unknown to him. They were his known people, people for whom he had the greatest respect and reverence. Unless he killed people like Bhishma and Drona, there would be no questions of his gaining victory. In addition, they were destroyed, assuming that Arjuna was not going to destroy them. What kind of happiness would he possibly have? He had to live with the thought that he had destroyed those he revered most, those from whom he had learned all that he knew. How can I send arrow for arrow against them? He asked Krishna. Even if Krishna had argued that Bhishma and Drona did not seem to have the same concern for him, Arjuna did not feel that he was in a position to make any such judgment. Their choosing to fight against him may have been wrong, but at the same time, they no doubt had their own logic for doing so. Because of his respect and reverence for these two stalwarts, Arjuna did not feel that he had the right to say anything about their decision to support Duryodhana. The point he was making to Krishna was that he himself could not sin by exchanging arrows with them. He would rather die than draw the arrow that would destroy Drona and Bhishma, his teachers. He therefore told Krishna that he, Arjuna, did not know the meaning of fear, as he was very well known to Krishna. As A brave man can be sympathetic, but a coward is sympathetic has a problem because the sympathy ends in distress. This kind of sympathy is of no use. Whereas when a resourceful, courageous, skillful person is sympathetic, the sympathy can be useful to the other person. A brave man should be sympathetic. So too, a rich man should be magnanimous, and a knowledgeable man humble. Knowledge and humility, money and magnanimity, power and justice, strength and gentleness, these go together. Wow. Knowledge and humility, money and magnanimity, power and justice, strength and gentleness, these go together. A person having only one of these two attributes, such as power or strength, without the justice or gentleness that goes with it, is capable of destroying others. So powerful. Arjuna was a brave man, a courageous man, and a mature man. A mature man can be sympathetic. A problem arises, however, when there is confusion. Arjuna's confusion was that of a mature person. Vedanta cannot be taught to an immature person. Instead, he or she can be taught something else, something that will resolve a particular problem. A mature person can be taught Vedanta, thereby solving the problem more fundamentally. This is where Gita comes in, as we will see. Arjuna presented his case beautifully. Krishna destroyed demons and enemies, but here those who were to be destroyed were Arjuna's teachers and relatives. Drona was a teacher who was not against Arjuna in any way. The only problem was that he was obliged to Duryodhana because of all the help he had received from him. Bhishma was also obliged for the same reason. This did not mean, however, that they were against Arjuna. Perceiving this particular situation properly, Arjuna told Krishna, destroying demons and enemies as you have done is right, but destroying one's teachers is not right. It was fine that Krishna was known as a destroyer of demons, Madhusudana. However, Arjuna definitely did not want to be known as a destroyer of teachers and Gurusudana. Therefore, in the next verse, he said that it would be better for him to live on alms than kill his gurus. We'll stop here for today. Do we do Manana, Dr. Brahmara?
Yes, let's do Manana. One aspect that was brought out was the listening that Krishna did to Arjuna. He listened to one whole chapter he listened to him, but he is still willing to listen and not just simply jump to conclusions and tell him this, do that. So a good counselor is one who listens, lets the other person speak up. And the second aspect is about the way of thinking. It was Arjuna's way of thinking that brought him to the current state. He was very fortunate in that he had Krishna to guide him and tell him, hey, listen, your thinking is wrong. Because Arjuna's arguments were very convincing. how can I become a Guru Sudana? You are Madhusudana, Arisudana, but I will be called Guru Sudana. Which is actually true if you look at it from Arjuna's perspective. How can you kill the very teacher that has taught you? So it's a very subtle change in the way you think as to what is to be done. That is important. What is to be done? I think that is the kushala, the discretion aspect of karma yoga. What is the action, the right action to be done at the right time? I think if at all we have to pray for the skill, so that we're doing the right thing at the right time. Yeah, others can go ahead.
Hari Om. I love the definition of Arya. He was doing everything right. Bhagwan tried to convince him, and he was, as we all know, he was Anasuya. He could not see the faults in others. And especially when the chariot was brought in between and he could see his own guru and Pitamaha, he became very, very weak emotionally, where in spite of Krishna telling him all the appropriate words which were hurting to him, but still he went on and telling that I still want to save them by any cost. You have killed only the Danavas or the enemies who were Asuras. You have not killed your own people. So I don't want to be called as Guru Sudana. So here again, it shows that he's still having that compassion. And here, very beautifully, Swamiji brought that it is due to that fundamental error where he sees himself as karta and he sees himself as a person who will be facing the guilt of killing his own people, and he thinks that it is a dharma. So, but very beautifully, all even the minute aspects were so nicely brought up about the emotions of Arjuna and the way Lord Krishna wants to uh, point out his thinking, way of thinking, which was wrong. Yeah, very nice.
There were three adjectives, no? Arya and other two were what were they?
Aswargya, the one who
As
is looking
hmm. Hmm.
looking for wanting to go to Swarga.
Hmm.
And third one, Akirti Karna. Akirti means
Hmm.
one who is
Not
not doing
hmm.
the right thing. No,
Means bad name will
Akir,
come.
Akirti. He will get his. It will not add to his glory. It will only bring his uh, reputation down. What I liked in this Krishna's advice, though he was giving to Arjuna, though he knew Arjuna is a very mature person, he treated Arjuna's state of mind at that time, because he was in tears, like a immature person. So this knowledge actually reaches out to the immature person and also to the mature person, which we will see later. Because at the immature level, Krishna dealt it like how the world will see Arjuna and how the media will project Arjuna and how the enemy will see Arjuna. He ran away out of fear. That's what the enemy will say. The media will say, oh, this great man of great reputation, see how he behaved. He ran out. He was a coward. He's not what he is, not the man of his words. and then nobody will know the truth. So this is all at the material level. This is how it is happening, right? So this is for the immature mind. So Krishna is so skillful. So though he was pumping Arjuna's or hitting at Arjuna's ego, calling him a eunuch, where a warrior is very decisive, but somebody who is wavering mind, it doesn't befit a warrior. So with all these words, uh, he pierced Arjuna and the worldly people. This is what I got.
But in the last paragraph, it is said this knowledge will come to only the mature person. And when we end this chapter, the same thing, only mature person will, wise person will know wise, otherwise, no. That
Yeah.
same thing happened here.
So I felt that that shloka, that it helps the unwise also, because this is how the unwise will behave. They will criticize, bring down the hero for one act that he has done without knowing the truth. This is how the worldly people, we all behave. So he
So,
is
which we are
showing the
in the
mirror
middle,
for
we
us
know
also.
both. Yeah, correct.
Yeah. So we need to cross over. No, it is very difficult. But then you need to hold on to this wisdom, and that will help us cross. So this conversation that happened between Krishna and Arjuna, the world will not know or did not know at that time. So we're very fortunate that we are able to see, we are getting this wisdom, and we are able to see how the world, how an immature person will respond and how a mature person will respond. So we can turn that wisdom to our own state of mind. We have to live a very courageous life. It's very easy to say. Yeah. Anything else? It says Arjuna's thinking process was triggered off by Krishna's whipping words. So powerful.
But in spite of that, he still continues singing his Dukhi song.
And that's what you also rightly said, no? Because he thinks he's the karta. At this time, he hasn't got that wisdom. He's still a little bit immature. Though he's courageous and fearless and all that, he is an Arya, he's a noble man. But he did not have this wisdom that you are not the doer at this stage, isn't it?
True, true. Yeah. And Krishna got annoyed because I think Um, everything, this all thought should have been before the war field.
Ah,
They have already entered the war field. He had no
mm,
choice but to fight. As a
mm,
Kshatriya, once he had taken the decision that there is a war, now amidst the war field, you cannot back out.
yeah. That's why
Once
he
the,
called him a eunuch.
yeah, I love the word Lord Krishna used for Arjuna, Parantapa. Very, very, I mean, he tried to remind him how he is by using all those beautiful adjectives.
I was also thinking of the same thing, that we should we should also have all these different adjectives to describe people with whatever experience we have had. So then that is a very skillful way to communicate also.
That is praising others, no? It will
Uh,
increase also that in others and ourselves also.
yeah.
In the next,
Praising appropriately to the
yeah,
situation.
and at appropriate time, he said no, using proper words and proper time.
Mm. So skillful, no, in
Mm.
communication, in thinking,
That
in
next
action.
in next shloka, it is said that klebhyam means you are running away from your duties. That shloka has to become now. That we have not covered, I think.
Clybium, he's used it in the third shloka. We
Third
covered that.
shloka. Okay, okay.
Mm. That's what is
Means
importance.
people will know him like that. So you
Mm.
should go follow the dharma, what is needed that time.
Yeah.
Otherwise, people will remember you like this.
So I was thinking of all the social media, what is going on now. They're doing exactly like this, no?
Means what? I couldn't understand. Social
See, if
media, what?
somebody is
Hmm. Hmm.
social media, you take
Hmm.
some great people,
Hmm.
everybody is following him and all that. If he's caught doing some one mistake, or if he doesn't do what the society wants, then immediately the social media will say exactly opposite, isn't
That
it?
is a
They
big maya to it gives you away from yourself. Means you cannot do anything if you follow these people or any comments or anything. Means
yeah,
that is so bad now these
but
days.
but
Mm.
you see, even Sri Rama was caught up in that only, no? He was caught up
Mm.
in the social media of that time.
But the Sthita Prajna next, that is why the Sthita Prajna stage came, or the he has to explain it. Krishna has to explain Arjuna. So this should not hamper or think should not in means उसका mindset स्थिर रहने के लिए जो mind है स्थित प्रज्ञा कि
Yeah,
कैसे
so
आ सकता है प्रलोभन आ सकता है माया आ सकती है सब आ सकता है बीच में लेकिन still he has to be steady.
so all the basis was put in this second chapter, first two, three slokas only. He put all the seeds. So I don't know what to say. What is the word to describe Krishna? Karmashu Kaushalam. Shall we wind up for today? Loka samasta sukhinau bhavantu. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti.
Meditation is accepting this moment, living every moment totally with depth. Let us keep our spine erect and body relaxed and eyes closed. Relax your shoulders. Keep a big smile on your face. You're sitting like the statue of Buddha, very serene and with a serene smile on your face. Relax your body. Let's take a deep breath in and breathe out. Become aware of your chest region, throat and chest region. If you notice some tension in the body, just let it be. Except those parts of the body where you feel a tension, the other parts are in comfort. Other parts are at peace. Become aware of that also. There are many good things about you and inside of you. Acknowledge them. They will never leave you. And the negative aspect you may see in you is never going to stay with you forever. They are all guests for some time. Let them be. Sit with the total acceptance of yourself the way you are at this very moment. Total acceptance of what is now here will lead us to deeper meditation. Let go of all the effort. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Let go of all your effort and be in this emptiness. And slowly and gradually become aware of body and surroundings. And you may gently open your
Jai Gurudev.